quantum eraser. He moves through the world with purpose and grace, destroying beliefs at steadfast pace, asking what's science and what's math. His wisdom cuts through like tempered glass. They call him QE, the quantum eraser. A master archer with bow in hand, his aim is true across the land, not just in science, but in every heart. He hits his mark with a steady heart. They call him QE, quantum eraser. It's all too easy for him when he takes the stage. With every word he states, they feel the rage. His presence alone rattles that cage. The crayon-eating numpties are running out of time. They call him QE, the quantum eraser. With every swing of the cowbell, the illusion fades, and with each strike, the glow-burst illusion degrades. QE's treatments, they cure them of their plight, guide them toward truth with all his might. They call him QE, quantum eraser. The hardest thing about being a Glover is tell your daddy you're gay, oh so gay. That's why they need QE's treatment. They call him QE, quantum eraser. They call him QE, the quantum eraser.
The Snoz Particle chef, Professor Booger Eater Phil Bell-End, back from his Nobel Prize winning Water Vapor is a Gas is the Dumbest Thing I Ever Heard, June 2021.
Okay, so you understand, and this is tried to explain to you that the atmosphere is not the same as how we describe gas pressure.
Wrong. Phil, atmosphere is a contradiction in terms. A paradox. Atmo means air. Air is a gas. Sphere is a shape. Gases have no inherent shape. Number 2, your train wreck atmosphere is made up of gases at pressure. So how are gases at pressure not the same as gas pressure? You dumbass cracker.
You understand?
What's the atmosphere made of, Professor? If I may.
So it's made out of different gases.
So it's made out of different gases at pressure. So again, how is that different from gas pressure?
Do you understand that things fall? Do you accept that things fall to the ground?
Oh, brother. Yeah, we accept that some things fall and that other things rise, like helium, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, water vapor, etc.
Do you accept that moisture from the sea rises? Do you accept that?
Yeah, it's called water vapor. That thing you had some difficulty with some months back? Jeez. Professor Numpty Dipshit, some things fall and others rise. Is there a point to your brain-dead queries?
Do you accept that molecules have mass? Do you accept that they weigh, that they have, that
Yes.
they would weigh something?
No. You or anyone else can't even define mass, for goodness sakes. At the very best, it's but a concept. Even in your fairy tale paradigm, mass and weight are two different animals. From your alma mater wiki. In common usage, the mass of an object is often referred to as its weight, though these are in fact different concepts and quantities. In scientific contexts, mass is the amount of matter in an object, though matter may be difficult to define, whereas weight is the force exerted on an object by gravity.
And you accept that weight is a function of both mass and acceleration?
Wrong. Weight in your fairy tale dreamland dumpster fire is W equal mg. Mg love you long time. That train wreck progeny was derived vis-a-vis its daddy, F equal ma. Unfortunately for you and your bellowing ball-tarred brethren, all of the laws from Newton, of which F equal ma is part of, have been superseded and toppled from the throne by Einstein 106 years ago. From your alma mater wiki, Newton's classical mechanics were superseded in the early 20th century when Albert Einstein developed the special and general theory of relativity. From Douglas Klein, professor of physics, Phys Libre text, Newton's two crowning achievements, the laws of motion and the laws of gravitation, that had reigned supreme since published in the Principia in 1687, were toppled from the throne by Einstein. From Professor Jacob D. Bekenstein, caltech.edu, Einstein also replaced the Newtonian law of motion by the statement that free test particles move along geodesics, the shortest curves in the space-time geometry. Adding insult to your ignoramus ignorance, Daddy F equal ma was filleted then fricasseed vis-a-vis quantum mechanics circa 1925. Hey, Dick, can you educate this wiki-parroting pretender clown ball-tard bozo for us? From Richard Feynman, the Feynman Lectures, caltech.edu. Even though the law F equal ma is false,
Fatality.
and all the derivations of Newton were wrong for the conservation of momentum, yada, yada, yada. Therefore, if F equal ma is false, and it is, meaning it never existed, then W equal mg, its progeny, never existed, leaving you holding the W equal mg, mg love you long time, empty baggy. Capiche? Sunshine.
Do you accept that things fall at the same rate?
No. A 25-pound anvil and 25 pounds worth of feathers will not fall at the same rate, Sunshine. Moreover, some things don't fall at all, like helium, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, and water vapor, among others. You know, Phil, you sound like a numpty dark getting ready to faceplant into a dumpster fire you prepared for yourself.
Define mass for me, Professor.
Okay, so everything is made out of atoms. Would you agree with that?
Are you high right now?
Everything is not made out of atoms, Professor Numpty Dipshit. Electrons, neutrons, protons, and light are some shining examples. And physics professor. Everything is made out of atoms, belly laugher, is not the definition of mass. It's a feeble, incoherent red herring fallacy.
Do you agree that the stuff going up is H2O?
Yes, more specifically, water vapor, which is a gas. Do you still think that water vapor is a gas? Is the dumbest thing you ever heard?
And you agree that when it does become a gas, it rises up, and then eventually, if there's enough of it, it'll come down as rain. Would you agree with that?
Yes, it condenses into a liquid and will eventually fall as some form of precipitation.
So you agree that gases have mass and that they are attracted to the Earth?
No, I already exposed your mass train wreck, and gases aren't attracted towards the Earth. If you think they are, then you haven't the first f***ing clue of gas behavior at a grade school level and are in direct contradiction with Boyle's Law, Charles' Law, Gay-Lussac's Law, Avogadro's Law, parts of Dalton's Law, Brownian motion, and the second law of thermodynamics.
Things that have mass will fall to the Earth at the same rate. We agree with that?
You need to be institutionalized.
This is why we have an atmosphere, because all the gas molecules fall to the Earth at the same rate.
Even though that the gas law states that there needs, for it to be gas, you have to have walls for the gas to bounce off to create the pressure as stated in PSI.
No, and that is precisely where you're mistaken, okay? Where your knowledge just isn't sufficient, okay? So let me help you with that.
You couldn't help the bionic woman with hearing if you tied her to the back of a dump truck and drug her through a nitroglycerin plant. You're an imbecile.
Which gravity are we referring to, Professor? Let's define terms.
There is only one gravity, Montreal.
I'm afraid you're mistaken, sir, on that.
No, there's only one. So let me explain.
You heard of Newton, sir? You heard of Newton?
Yeah. You're asking me, a professor of physics, if I heard.
Yes, because this professor of physics is claiming that there's only one gravity.
Yes, there is only one gravity. There's gravity falls to the ground. Let me explain to you a little bit about this, just so perhaps you'll understand.
Gravity falls to the ground? What the f***?
Gravity falls to the ground.
You are so dumb. Damn.
And there's only one gravity, eh, Professor? From NASA.gov, lessons for students. There's two versions of gravity, Newton and Einstein. Duh.
We're talking about here is observe Newton's laws, which observes how gravity works. This is how I managed to get a satellite from one orbital range to another orbital range.
Yes, and Anna Nicole married for love, and Pol Pot was her florist. Newton's laws observes how gravity works, eh? Forgive me, but you're a bumbling, imbecilic Dunning-Kruger buffoon of the highest order. A genuine window licker. Number one, reification fallacy. Debunked laws don't observe other debunked laws. Number two, Newtonian mechanics, that is, the laws of motion and gravity, were wholesale debunked and replaced over 106 years ago, then had its guts ripped out by quantum mechanics shortly thereafter, as already detailed. Number three, so you use Newtonian gravity to maneuver your second law of thermodynamics violating fairy tale satellites? Professor Gez from UCLA, Department of Physics and Astronomy, would vapor lock from tear-jerking belly laugher syndrome if she heard that delusional horsepuckery. From the aforementioned Professor Andrea Ghez, UCLA, Professor of Physics and Astronomy. Einstein's right, at least for now, said Gez, a co-lead author of the research. We can absolutely rule out Newton's law of gravity.
Hosmer with a drive. Cheese and crackers. Oh, son of a... That's going to leave a mark.
Do you use phlogiston to fire up your Barbie? Clown.
It describes what happens in the atmosphere within it. In other words, gases go up from the Earth, they come down as rain.
Really? So we have helium, hydrogen, nitrogen, and oxygen rain, Professor.
You are so dumb. Damn.
Put it this way, Montreal. Let's say, for instance, I owed you, $1 million, $1,000 million, and I gave you 1 cent, would you theoretically say that I gave you any money back?
This is friggin' painful. You gave him 1 cent back, and not theoretically. Next block of instruction, how to breathe. Then look at a horse.
I've told you this many times. There's no truth in science.
Factually incorrect, Crayon Muncher. There's no truth in pseudoscience, that which you mindlessly parrot. Moreover, if there's no truth in your self-purported profession, knuckle-dragger, wouldn't that ipso facto make you a liar?
You're an intellectual dumbass.
Professor Bell,
Yeah, go ahead.
we always talk about experiments that we can do. Are there any experiments that you have done to support your idea of what the shape of the Earth is, or anything else related to the Earth that you personally have done?
Well, look, I have to do I wouldn't even call them experiments. They have to be real life things. In other words, it's not by accident that we get a satellite to be, 36,000 kilometers above the Earth. It has to be so precise, because we don't want people on the ground having to readjust their satellite dishes on your house.
Professor Bell, are there any experiments that you have done to support your idea of what the shape of the Earth is, or anything else related?
For instance, I've got one on my house that's been there untouched for 12 years. That's because it's been pointing at a particular satellite that's giving me my television thing. Now,
Professor Bell, are there any experiments that you have done to support your idea of what the shape of the Earth is, or anything else related?
a good thing for those people who do control this satellite, because they make sure that it stays where it's meant to stay. And why does it stay there? It stays there because it's a precise range, a precise distance from the Earth, and therefore moving at a precise speed, so that it stays with the Earth as the Earth spins. This couldn't happen if the Earth wasn't a sphere. And the millions, the hundreds of millions of dollars that we have to commit.
Professor Bell, are there any experiments that you have done to support your idea of what the shape of the Earth is, or anything else related?
For instance, on a rocket with a satellite, we put all of that money up there, knowing what it's going to do, being able to make such incredibly precise predictions.
Professor Bell,
With all of this money, it would be impossible to if there was any guesswork in it anymore. We don't have to guess. All of these things are so precisely defined. And what's amazing is that these things were defined so long ago, when these people had so little to work with.
Professor Bell, are there any experiments that you have done to support your idea of what the shape of the Earth is, or anything else related?
I mean, gosh, imagine if they had the technology that we have now, how much further ahead we'd be. If you have a look at one single photograph, it's probably one of the most amazing photographs ever.
Professor Bell.
Okay.
Professor Bell, are there any experiments that you have done to support your idea of what the shape of the Earth is, or anything else related?
And that is around about 50 people sitting on a bench at the Solway Convention. You are
Professor Bell.
You are looking at the most amazing minds that have ever walked on this planet. Right there.
Professor Bell.
Enjoy it. Look at it. Read their history. Learn something about what they came up with. You know, for freshman physics, our curriculum's crowded enough without worrying about trying to demonstrate that the Earth is a sphere. There's so many other things.
Yeah, why demonstrate anything when you just brainwash them? From Singamano, Teaching and Propaganda, Physics Today, Volume 53, June 2000, page 54. Professor admits physics profs brainwash students with propaganda. And I use that trust to effectively brainwash them. We who teach introductory physics have to acknowledge that if we are honest with ourselves, that our teaching methods are primarily those of propaganda. We appeal without demonstration.
Our curriculum's crowded enough without worrying about trying to demonstrate.
To evidence that supports our position. We only introduce arguments or evidence that support the currently accepted theories and omit or gloss over any evidence to the contrary. We give short shrift to alternative theories, introducing them only in order to promptly demolish them, again by appealing to undemonstrated counter-evidence. We drop the names of famous scientists and Nobel Prize winners to show that we are solidly on the side of the scientific establishment. All of this is designed to demonstrate the inevitability of the ideas we currently hold, so that if students reject what we say, they are declaring themselves to be unreasoning and illogical, unworthy of being considered as modern thinking people. Of course, we do all this with the best of intentions and complete sincerity. I have good reasons for employing propaganda techniques to achieve belief.
Say what?
So I, like all my colleagues, teach the way I do because I have little choice. But it is brainwashing nonetheless.
Uh-oh.
When the dust settles, what I'm asking my students to do is accept what I say because I, as an accredited representative of my discipline, profession, and academia, say it. All the reason, logic, and evidence that I use simply disguise the fact that the students are not yet in a position to sift and weigh the evidence and arrive at their own conclusions. End of citation.
Newton didn't give gravity a definition. Newton simply worked out how gravity works.
So Newton figured out how gravity works, as opposed to Einstein, who did what?
Einstein is the one who told us how it works.
Mr. Bell-End, when you juxtapose positions, you're contrasting them. That is, you're showing how they are different from one another. In your juxtaposition between Newton and Einstein, you said,
Newton simply worked out how gravity works.
Then you contrasted with Einstein and said,
Einstein is the one who told us how it works.
There's no difference here, booger eater. Unless you're implying Isaac Newton, who figured out how gravity works, according to you, was a mute who also couldn't write, who then needed Einstein to tell us how gravity works 250 years later. Ergo, Mr. Bell-End, unless you can show that Isaac Newton was a mute who couldn't write, you've just unequivocally demonstrated that you're a double-speaking retard. Capiche, sunshine? And to dot all the T's and cross the I's with your dumpster fire here.
He simply described how it works.
Simply describe how? Law of identity violation. Descriptions only pertain to what's and is's. Explanations, on the other hand, pertain to the hows and whys. You need to start over again. As in primary school, try and pay attention this time. I'd also highly suggest a few basic reasoning courses along the way. Clown.
Inside of Einstein's field equations is Newton's work.
Newton's, exactly.
Oh,
Are you serious? Are you
Yes, and Liberace's sister was a Saudi prince, a Mau fighter pilot, and Sasquatch. It's funny, these crayon-munching window lickers been claiming this for a couple years now. Whenever challenged to support this contradictory cockamamie horsepucky dumpster fire, they obfuscate or run away. First of all, this isn't science. It's mathematics, specifically geometry. How in the world can the natural law violating Einstein's field equations, which pertain to pseudo-Riemannian 4 space, have anything whatsoever to do with Euclidean 3 space? Answer, it doesn't. It's non sequitur. Hey, bald-tard bozos, you're missing a dimension.
Ay, caramba!
Number 2, disregarding their ability to even define mass. With Reverend John Michel Cavendish CV Boy's gravity, remember Newton said he didn't want to have anything to do with the fairy tale horseshit gravity, there's no problems calculating with 2 or more masses. However, with Einstein's field equations, you can't calculate anything using 2 or more masses. From their alma mater wiki, as the field equations are nonlinear, they cannot always be completely solved. For example, there is no known complete solution for a space-time with 2 massive bodies in it. So unless you have a completely empty universe, or a universe with only 1 mass, you can't use Einstein's field equations. Number 3, if Einstein's field equations contain Newton's for gravity, then Einstein's field equations in general relativity debunks special relativity. From Britannica.com, because Isaac Newton's law of gravity serves so well in explaining the behavior of the solar system, the question arises why it was necessary to develop a new theory of gravity. The answer is that Newton's theory violates special relativity, for it requires an unspecified action at a distance, through which any 2 objects, such as the sun and the earth, instantaneously pull each other, no matter how far apart. However, instantaneous response would require the gravitational interaction to propagate at an infinite speed, which is precluded by special relativity. From Professor John D. Norton, Department of History and Philosophy of Science, University of Pittsburgh. Newton's celebrated theory of gravitation presumed instantaneous action at a distance. The sun now exerts a gravitational force on the earth, now with a magnitude set by Newton's inverse square law. The key part was the now. If the sun were to move slightly, the resulting alteration in the force it exerts on the earth would be felt by us instantaneously. Uh-oh! According to Newtonian theory. That means that Newton's theory depends upon the notion of absolute simultaneity. Uh-oh! A change there is felt here at the same moment. However, Einstein's 1905 theory had banished absolute simultaneity from physics.
Hosmer with a drive. Cheese and crackers. Oh, son of a... That's going to leave a mark.
And finally, Another tiny little problem from Warwick University, UK. The problem is that the equations, Einstein's field equations, require the energy and momentum to be defined precisely at every space-time point, which contradicts the uncertainty principle for quantum states. This is not just a problem at high energies or short distances. It is a conceptual incompatibility that applies in every lab.
Fatality.
Not only is every appeal to fairy tale gravity demonstrable pseudoscience, the incoherent Dunning-Kruger Ball-Tard Booger Eater faction's shotgun marriage between Reverend John Michel, Cavendish, C.V. Boys, and Einstein's field equations, general relativity, containing no less than 4 paradoxes, rivals only the shotgun marriage between bachelors.
Particles move because they have kinetic energy.
That's astonishing. What's next? Sugar sweet?
And of course, just if you throw a ball in the air, will the ball not stop and come back down?
Let me think. It's a tough one. So you throw a ball up. Will it come back down? Yeah?
Why does the ball go up and stop? Why does the ball stop?
These mind-bending queries are getting exponentially more difficult. Can I do it with milk? So why does the ball stop? It loses kinetic energy?
You know why the ball stops? Because it runs out of kinetic energy.
Yes, I was right. Hallelujah. Who's all that in a bag of chips now? That's right, me.
This is why gas particles can't go any further.
Are you high right now?
No, darling. This is clinical level Dunning-Kruger pretender clown ball-tard spinning space monkey numpty dipshittery from deep below the Black Lagoon. From a self-purported professor of physics, no less. Professor Booger-Eaton Burke of megalithic proportions. Clumsily feeble false equivalence fallacy times 2. Number 1, balls are made of solids. Gases are gases. Number 2, the kinetic energy imparted to the ball is governed by you, or whoever's throwing it, as opposed to gases, where their kinetic energy is governed by the absolute temperature of the gas or gases. As long as the temperature of a gas or gases is above absolute zero, the gas will retain kinetic energy, i.e., it'll never stop. If a ball isn't picked up and thrown, there is no temperature where it will fling itself in the air. Next block of instruction, how to eat cereal out of a box. Additionally, Professor Booger Gobbler, your incoherent second-grade belly laugher comparison catapults you into direct violation of Boyle's Law, Charles' Law, Gay-Lussac's Law, Avogadro's Law, and parts of Dalton's Law. And not to be ever outdone, the King Topper booger-eating bull in a china shop exhibition, leaving no dish uncracked, you've taken the second law of thermodynamics, along with Brownian motion, out back to the woodshed and bludgeoned each to a bloody lifeless pulp. Your parents must be prouder than game roosters. Prepare yourself for the call from your alma mater, Captain Kangaroo U, requesting you give the keynote address at the upcoming Who and Where the F*** Am I convention. Topic: how to scare up a below first grade science acumen from a Cracker Jack box.
What the hell did you just say?
So thermodynamics, Phil.
Entropy is simply the movement of from order to disorder.
Fatality.
It isn't, Professor Thermodynamics. You treat objects like women. From the legend, Professor Lambert, entropysite.oxy.edu. This view was broached partially in a previous article that showed disorder was outmoded and misleading as a descriptor for entropy. Footnotes 1 and 2. Again from Professor Lambert, entropy is not disorder, not a measure of disorder, not a driving force. From Chem Libre text, there is no basis in physical science for interpreting entropy change as involving order and disorder. Stating entropy talks about disorder is akin to Max Planck describing the ultraviolet catastrophe as stop, drop, and roll. It's belly-laughingly juvenile proby and demonstrates beyond any doubt, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, that we have a stage 5 clinger kung fu death grip globetard wiki-parroting goober of megalithic proportions.
You big dummy!
Space is not a place that you can go to.
Why not?
Because that defies natural law.
What natural law?
Specifically.
What natural law?
The second law of thermodynamics.
Tell me which part of the second law of thermodynamics does it defy?
That you can have a pressurized system next to a vacuum without a container.
Not the second law of that's not the second law of thermodynamics. Thermo means heat. Thermodynamics is specifically about the transfer of energy.
Wrong.
Can you please now drop thermodynamics?
Not
Find
just
another
about the
physics,
transfer of energy.
Yes, it is.
Oh, no, it's not, Professor Bell-End. You're toast. Say goodnight, pretender clown. Professor Porter, Nobel laureate. This numpty dipshit Bell-End says the second law is solely about the transfer of energy. What say you, my good sir?
As a go.
Now let us look at some examples of spontaneous changes and see how they are accounted for in terms of the second law of thermodynamics. We'll take the simplest first and look at changes where only the entropy changes.
Uh-oh!
Now, one, perhaps the simplest of all of these, is the expansion of a gas into a vacuum.
Oh, yeah.
I have in one of these bulbs some bromine, and in the other I have a vacuum. And if I open the tap between these two, you will see spontaneously the bromine rush from one to the other. Now that is the simplest change we can have, perhaps, because all that happens is a change in entropy.
Uh-oh!
In this case, the expansion into a vacuum, nothing else is involved. There's no energy change. There's no energy change. There's no energy change. There's no temperature change. There's no change except entropy. There's no change except entropy. There's no change except entropy.
Oh! Hosmer with a drive. Cheese and crackers. Turn out the lights.
Tender clown face monkey.
The party's over. They say that all good things must end.
Ballers scattered on dawn's highway bleeding. Fallacies and refravity crowd their fragile eggshell minds. Baltars, space monkey.
Call it a night. The party's over.
Hey!
Hello. It's for you. Yeah? You've just been erased.
Professor Bell.
In the fragile realm where mysteries abide, there walks a man with knowledge as his guide. They call him QE, the quantum eraser. He moves through the world with purpose and grace, destroying beliefs at steadfast pace, asking what's science and what's math. His wisdom cuts through like tempered glass. They call him QE, the quantum eraser. A master archer with bow in hand, his aim is true across the land, not just in science, but in every heart. He hits his mark with a steady heart. They call him QE, quantum eraser. It's all too easy for him when he takes the stage. With every word he states, they feel the rage. His presence alone rattles that cage. The crayon-eating numpties are running out of time. They call him QE, the quantum eraser. With every swing of the cowbell, the illusion fades, and with each strike, the glow bursts, illusion degrades. Huey's treatments, they cure them of their plight, guide them toward truth with all his might. They call him QE, quantum eraser. The hardest thing about being a Glover is tell your daddy you're gay, oh so gay. That's why they need QE's treatment. They call him QE, quantum eraser. They call him QE, the quantum eraser.